Hey everybody, this is Mike Wolf and welcome to the podcast. Today's guest is Ty Thompson, who is the CEO of Ovie, a startup that makes a food waste management system for the home. It goes in your refrigerator and helps you understand when your food will be expiring, how much time you have left, and just serves as a very simple way to help you manage that. And it's a company that I've been following since probably 2018. I talk about this history with Ty on the podcast. And what I really wanted to talk about and why I brought Ty on is because they recently announced that they're actually putting the product into market. They had their first production run. And this was after a long journey where they battled through trying to find funding, where they try to figure out how they should get this into manufacturing. And oh, by the way, there's a pandemic that happened along the way. And I was a bit surprised and also pretty pleased that I saw this company that I've been writing about and talking to for so long finally made it through the battle and got it to market. I think it was a testament to the perseverance of the company's founders. So I wanted to spend some time with Ty and hear about some of the lessons he learned, how he overcame those challenges, and maybe if he could share some thoughts with other founders who are building kitchen technology or any sort of early piece of hardware and what they could take away from that. So it was a really fun conversation. I hope you enjoy it. As always, you can find our podcasts on the usual spaces, so go check those out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We are busy here at The Spoon working on the Smart Kitchen Summit, which will be here in June 4th and 5th in Seattle. We're excited to bring it back. We have some great speakers. I just walked in the head of Samsung Food coming to speak. So we got some great speakers coming. We have Modernist Cuisine working with us and a few other great organizations as well. And many of the folks we're talking to on the podcast will be here as well. So you'll definitely want to be here in Seattle. So check it out. Go to smartkitchensummit.com. All right, folks, that's it for now. Let's get to the conversation with Ty. All right, I'm excited to be here with Ty Thompson, who I've known you, Ty, since I think maybe 2018. I bumped into you, I think, in the bowels of the SANS conference, and you guys were there pitching your new company, Ovie. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mike. I really appreciate it. Yeah, that was a really fun time for us. You know, we had only been working on the project for about a year at that point, and got to the point where we really wanted to get it out in front of the people and see what the people thought about it. And we just had a great time there, and we were glad you stopped by as part of that. So yeah, we've known you for a while now, which is great.
And the reason I wanted to have you on the podcast, because something happened in the last month or so. I saw that you guys started shipping, and it'd been a while since I'd heard it from you guys. And, you get busy, a pandemic happened, and then lo and behold, 5 or 6 years later, you guys are actually shipping product. So that was a pretty monumental struggle. I mean, I think it's your first piece of hardware, so I would imagine it was a lot of work involved, but I kind of want to just talk through the journey you went through.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to the journey. And so we can hit the high points because the entire journey is probably, it's probably fit for a book at some point. We can talk about that. But when people say hardware is hard, it's true. It's true. Hardware can be a challenge. And for us, there were some fits and starts. Some had to do with, partnerships or working relationships that didn't necessarily work out. Some kind of, of our own doing, just challenges of what we were trying to take on. And then, like you said, we hit a pandemic where things got a little bit, challenging as well. When it came to just working, period, especially when you're trying to source products. And, but ultimately, for us, I'm really proud of our team and how we've persevered and how we've gotten to this point. And we have a product, that we're shipping to customers, that we're proud of and excited about, even though it's not exactly the same product that we set out to launch those years ago. It's a little bit different.
For people who don't know about Ovie, it's essentially, in a nutshell, essentially a smart food freshness detector. It's a system that is, visually based and goes into your refrigerator and helps you kind of monitor the freshness of your food. I described it in my latest article as kind of like a smart sticky note system. I changed my original description, which I originally called it like a tile for food. But I feel like because of the visual nature of it, how it kind of goes on your food. You know, the old way we might put sticky notes on something, say, hey, this, you need to eat this by this. But now you have a smart system to help you track that. Do you think my smart sticky note description was an apt one?
I think it's a great description for the most part. It's kind of an upgraded sticky note. In fact, it's funny, because we've been using these in our home because as we've been going through the manufacturing process, we got some early samples of them, not prototypes, but manufacturing samples, that we were using to make sure that they were working the way they're supposed to work. And so my daughter, who's now going on 12 years old, she was like, oh, Dad, I need some of these for other things. I just want to put these around the house as like other reminders, to help me remember other things too. And I was like, yeah, why not? So yeah, it is kind of like that as, a sticky note's a good describer, except where it really, the difference is, as you noted, it's this visual indicator that's on it. So when we go back to the very beginning of Ovie, which it wasn't called Ovie, it didn't have a name. I came home one day after throwing away food that I loved and I wanted to eat, and we had spent all the money on the groceries, we had cooked it, we had it, we put the leftovers in the fridge, and it's one of these meals, I've told this story before, but it's one of these meals that it's even better after it's sat in the fridge for a while, and kind of soak that up. It's better as a leftover. It's this pasta dish. And I'm throwing it away. I'm just throwing away multiple servings of it because it just got pushed to the back of the fridge and buried and forgotten about, even though I wanted to eat it. And I said, I just need something to get my attention. I just need something in there that says like, hey, don't forget about me, like a little blinking light or something like that, And that's kind of what we set out to create. And as we set out to create that, it became more than that, right? It became kind of this connected system.
From that original light bulb moment, it grew to, hey, let's make this a smart food monitoring system, I think with an app and alerts, etc. But over time, right. I mean, what actually came out, it seems like you got back to that original vision. It was a little more of a simpler system.
Correct. We thought we were trying to launch our MVP, which was a simple, though very complicated in some ways, full, like kind of smart home system. And we realized that our MVP was really a step back. Like maybe we had product feature creep a little bit too much. And it was just really challenging for us to bring that all to market at the same time, from a time perspective, from an expertise perspective, from a capital perspective. And so when we hit the pandemic, right, when we hit 2020 and we really started running into some challenges, Dave, who you know as well, Dave Joseph, one of the co-founders of Ovie, Dave and I sat down and said, well, what are we doing here? Are we doing the right thing? And we kind of, in that moment, we're like, you know what, maybe we went too far. Let's just find out if we can put these tags into people's fridge and see if the light system that we believe will actually help people in their home. And so we went down that path then, and we had another slight distraction after that where we actually signed a really promising licensing partnership agreement with a very big company where we were going to launch these products. We were going to co-launch these with a big food storage company. And that company actually, without giving away too much, because I want to be careful and respectful of privacy in the midst of that. But that company ended up biting off more than they can chew. Let's just put it that way. And it didn't work out. And so we had kind of hitched our wagon to the wrong star, so to speak. So when that ended up not completing, we said, we just got to put these in market. Let's do it ourselves. So we put our heads down and went out. We found the manufacturing. We found the right people to source plastic with, to source electronics with, to source packaging with, and all the things that you have to do. And it took us about fall of 2022. So here we are now, a little over a year past that. And we've put this product in the market, which is now, as you say, the difference is it's not connected. There's no app associated with it. It's what we call a light tag. So what our fully connected version is, which we would still like to do at some point if people find that valuable, and we're still working towards that, is a smart tag. This we're calling a light tag. And the light tag is that, you take the tag and you put it on that leftover or whatever it is you want to store and save, and you press the button the number of days you want to save it. So you press it 5 times if you want to save something for 5 days. And then it starts that countdown. It's a timer. But that countdown has the light. So back to the visual. So the light is the key. And I say it's the key because now, new story. So this is like the good, I told you the story about throwing the food away. And now I've got the stories on the other side of that. And I tell one in particular where, we had these products from the manufacturer and we're trying in our home, and I open my fridge one day and I see the yellow light. I see this yellow light reflecting off a LaCroix can. It's not, I don't see the light. I just see it because it blinks, and I'm seeing it reflect off of the LaCroix can. And I'm like, what is that? So I like peel everything back and I pull it out, and it's about $35 worth of steak, because we made like filet mignon. We had like grilled that. I'd gone to the meat market. There's a great place here in Chicago, Paulina Meat Market, that is awesome. I'd gone there, gotten the steaks. I had grilled them, seasoned them, grilled them, did everything. We ate them. We loved them. I packed them up. I put the light tag on them. I put them in the fridge, and I forgot about them. Totally forgot about them. And because they got pushed to the back. But this time, instead of throwing it away 2 weeks later, I opened it, saw the light, and I said, that's what I'm having for lunch. And there I go. I saved myself $35 right there.
Let's go back to kind of the early days. So you guys, it was just you and Dave and Stacy right at the beginning who had this kind of concept. None of you really came out of the traditional like technology founder track. You guys weren't from Stanford or Silicon Valley or MIT.
Correct. No.
What was the background of, like, how did you guys kind of start to do this? Because you weren't necessarily technology engineers or electrical engineers.
No, we didn't start out to create a technological product either, really. When we started out, it was that very simple product that I described. And that's houseware's background. So my background's in consumer products. And mostly houseware's consumer products. So, I've worked and I've worked more on the business side of it, but also I've spent a lot of time with manufacturers in China in my career as well. So not just the business side, but the negotiating and building relationships and actually delivering product to customers, right? That is like a hard good, not necessarily, hardware, but a hard good, whether it's a
didn't have chips in it or radios in it, but it worked.
Right. So that's my background. Dave's background is also, product. His is product design. So where I'm on more the business side of it, he's more on the product design and development side of it. And so we were like, this is a great fit for that. And Stacy, her background is the marketing side. And I think early on, she was probably crushing it more than the rest of us, because I think, one of the challenges too is when people would come to our site and they would like view kind of what we put out there as a brand, we had the appearance of being way further along than we really were. And so sometimes there would be a disconnect when we would meet with maybe investors or something like that to raise capital. Where they'd be like, oh, and that's because Stacy was crushing it at building our brand. She was doing a really good job of that, which is important. And it's going to be very important right now as we have product in market, to sell.
You guys did try to raise capital in those early days, and I know that it was a little bit of a challenge because you didn't necessarily have like that electrical engineer. What happened there, and what were some of the conversations?
Yeah. We definitely raised some capital, but we found the people that really got behind us, and we ultimately ended up kind of outsourcing the side of the business with the electrical engineer piece, kind of the development side. Which, man, pause here. If I can give anybody like a word of, I guess, advice or suggestion, and again, I could fill another book, right? But if I could give anybody that, we did some things early on where we used some of our precious resources, our precious time and capital, to build prototypes of our product and build the concepts, right? Because we thought the concepts were going to be very important for being able to take the next step. That almost nobody cared about the concepts. People cared about the idea. And then when we went to manufacturers to say, hey, build this thing for us, right? The board, we would take the board and say, hey, we've got the board, build this thing for us. The manufacturers were like, well, we have to totally re-engineer this because we can't build someone else's design. And now I get why, I understand why, but we were hesitant to want to sign up for that because we'd already spent a lot of money design. Like we were just like, copy this, just do this thing. And they were like, well, we have to gut check it. So
you had paid people who can build electronic prototypes, some initial kind of early software, and you took this within your hands and went to like manufacturers, say, can you mass produce this? And they said, no, we'd have to totally redo it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so if you were to tell someone who had an idea for an electronic product, if you did it all over again, what would you do?
Go straight to a contract manufacturer, straight to a CM who can pull the pieces of the puzzle together. And we're working with a great one right now. They do a really nice job. And they're based here in Illinois. So we're based in Chicago, and they're based here in Waukegan, which is just up the road from us. And it's great. So just go straight to somebody with the idea, and you can work from the ground up on the idea. Because if you take them your piece of the puzzle, it's just double work. It's double time. It's double money. It's double everything. And they're not going to use it. And I understand why, because they can't sign up to build something somebody else designed or created. Because if it doesn't work, they're on the hook. They're on the hook for how it's going to work and how it's going to perform. So they don't want to say, yes, we'll build that thing. They want to make sure and go through all of the technical components themselves. So
you can go to a contract manufacturer with an idea, and they have the field engineers, the design engineers to build it essentially from scratch from an idea.
A good one will.
What does it take for them to work with you though? Like I couldn't just come up with an idea now, go find a contract manufacturer. I mean, what made them believe in you? Did you have resources? Was it like, hey, we have retailers that are interested? Why did they work with you?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I think, there were plenty that were willing to work with us coming out of CES, that first year of CES. And I think some of that was belief in the product and what we were building. They could see the upside with that, right? Because even the upfront work, which you do have to pay for, that engineering work that happens at the beginning, you will need to pay for that because that's their time. It's still not a lot compared to what they'll make if you're able to order unit after unit after unit after unit from them. That's where they see the upside. And so if they see the upside of, hey, we might eventually build 1 million of these things and sell them to these guys, that's where they get excited. So there's that. I think it's the product, it's the vision that you have for the product. You do have to have some resources up front. You can't walk in there with no capital. And we had some capital raised, so that's nice. And so and then it's I think it's relationships and experience as well. Like what do you bring to the table? So like the one we're working with now, again, like I said, Dave and I have a lot of experience working with manufacturers, so we know how to go in there, we know how to talk to them, we know how to speak the language, and then again, like I said, you can't just like walk in and expect them to work for free. They're going to want capital up front. And as long as you pay the capital up front for the engineering costs that they're going to put into it, then they're willing to work with you. Yeah.
Did they also look at the go-to-market plan, right? So you people had known about you, had a great looking website. You probably started talking to retailers. Is the contract manufacturer looking at like that go-to-market plan and the realisticness of it?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I think that's a piece of the puzzle as well. And again, you're kind of hitting on it, right? It depends how what is your background and what is your experience in actually delivering this, and what are the chances that you're going to get to the point of selling a lot of units? Because that's really where the money is going to be made for any contract manufacturer. They want to sell a lot of units of the product. So yeah, part of that would be showing them the interest from, we have, from CES, we've got emails from Amazon and Target and Walmart, and I've got emails in my inbox right now from retailers that are interested in what we're doing, but we're not quite ready for that because we're still in our like kind of ramp up stage. We don't have the volume right now to be able to go to retailers just yet. So yeah, part of it is that for sure.
Some of those like 2018 vintage emails from retailers, did you circle back on some of those now that you're shipping and rekindle some of those conversations?
So I haven't yet because there's nothing that we can, like I said, so we
Right.
we order a small kind of, it's called a pilot run, I suppose you could say. So we've got a pilot run of the product order, which is just our minimums, that we can buy from our manufacturers. So we've got that. And, for us to really be able to go, I'd love to go to Amazon again because we had some really great conversations with Amazon, but you got to be ready for that. So my background in the consumer packaged goods world and housewares world, this is where we're getting to. And I joke with Dave that I'm so glad we finally have product to sell because this is like my wheelhouse here. Like we used to joke that, running a company, he has his expertise in product design. I have my expertise in like kind of the business side, but it was like every morning you wake up in a dark room and you got to find the light switch. And then the next morning you wake up in a dark room and you got to find the light switch, and now I feel like every morning I wake up in a room that's fully lit because I understand this part of the business so much more because it's really my background. But with retailers, I'm excited, but you have to be careful because, just like having no business can kill a company. You go to Walmart before you're ready, that can kill a company too. You can literally drown.
You've seen it, right? You've seen it with like people that go to Costco too early or whatever. It's just, it'll kill you and you don't want to burn the retailers. But I want to go back because this is so fascinating to me. And I've seen so many hardware companies fail, whether it's Smart Home or Smart Kitchen. They do a Kickstarter, they get some money and it never ships. And you guys are just, it's so fascinating to me because you persevered through 6 years and you're shipping. So I think it's a triumph for you guys. It's a great story. And why do so many of these companies fail when you're saying like if you just went to the contract manufacturer early, is it just they're doing the wrong thing? Are they trying to build and put all the resources that they got to the Kickstarter campaign into the wrong thing?
There's probably a million different reasons in reality on that, but I can tell you this just from a pure manufacturing process. We ran into a chicken or the egg scenario over and over. So Dave and I went to China in late 2018. So we met you in January 2018. We went to China and we're perfectly capable of sourcing this product ourselves without a contract manufacturer because I've got the relationships and Dave's got the relationships. And so we went over and we visited 3 plastics manufacturers, I think, 4 plastics manufacturers and 3 board PCBA manufacturers. And we were going to kind of source and do this ourselves. We were going to be our own contractor, so to speak, our own contract manufacturer. And we ran into the challenge where you would meet with like a really big, high quality professional manufacturer. And they would say, listen, we can work with you. We'd love to work with you, but you've got to order 1 million units, and the price was great. It was cheap for 1 million units, but we still didn't have enough money to order 1 million units. Or then we would go work with a company or a manufacturer. We'd talk to a manufacturer that was smaller and they would say, we can work with you. Yeah, definitely. But you have to order 5,000 units, but it costs you almost the same amount for the 5,000 working with that manufacturer as it would for 1 million from the other manufacturer because the price was so high at that low quantity. And we just kept banging our heads against this wall over and over and over again. And that's just, that could be one of the challenges, right? That some of these hardware companies run into is you go into it with an idea of what your product cost should be and how you can get it done. But then when the rubber meets the road of trying to find someone to actually work with, it gets really challenging. And I'll tell you, like I said, and I'm really proud of our team for finding a way to get a product to market. Like I said, it's not the product that we set out to make. But it's so easy to quit. It would have been so easy to quit 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It would have been so easy for us to quit. And we didn't. And I'm really proud of our team for that. And with the product that we've launched now, we know that this isn't what some of our Kickstarter backers back. So we sent a note out to our Kickstarter people. And we said, hey, if you want this, we can give this to you. And we've given out a bunch. We've given them free codes to come get free product from our site. We said, but if you don't want this and you want to wait for something that's closer to what you originally backed, you're welcome to do that. We're we still believe that there's a very valuable technological component to what we're doing here. But tech has changed so much since 2018. As you know, you're in that world. Like it changes so fast that what we set up to create originally might not be the tech product that we actually launch. So
that's the other, I think, secret here is that you guys were willing to revisit the vision of what you promised in your Kickstarter. I mean, I think a lot of the fails that I've seen is, you know, you're promising, and this isn't necessarily you guys, like, but you might see like this really complicated, connected, multifunction device with app connectivity. And it just takes, and the engineering, they never really created like maybe something beyond like a barely functional prototype. They've launched their Kickstarter and there's all this work to be done. Maybe they're like, there's patents to be filed, you know, and you guys, you know, had this kind of like, a little bit, like you said, mission creep, but you revisited it and got to like a simpler version that I think is a functional device. I think there's a cool functional system. It's a visual system that I think would really help me waste less food. And so I can see value in this. I'm gonna have to order one of these things. I think it'll be really valuable, but it's obviously not what you promised, or no, it's different than what you talked about with your Kickstarter. I think you're going to get to that vision, but I think revisiting that to get to market was one of the big keys for you guys.
Well, it was either that or die, you know, for us, honestly. That's kind of what it came to. And we weren't ready to give up. But that really interesting thing, you know, Mike, is as we've put this product out there, we've had so much feedback from people that are like, this is all I ever needed. Like, I don't want an app. I don't want another thing, you know, that feels like it's in my phone and in my space that way technologically. They were like, this is perfect. Like, and so I think there's a lot of people that this is really going to resonate with.
Like, I can only envision my mom who's, you know, 80 and trying to get like a food freshness sensor connected to her phone or an app or Alexa. Like, she would just give up. But this thing, she puts it on the top like a sticky note. She punches in the number of days with the number of clicks, 7 days. And if she can learn that, it works. So I think like there's something to be said for simplicity and non-connectedness for a big part of the audience out there that just want simpler solutions.
Definitely. And you know, the tech, you know, product that we kind of, you know, have put on hold for a bit, the way that was originally going to work too, we were in this really weird spot with like smart home, which I'm sure you and your audience are probably really familiar with. So the question was, do you have a hub where the tags communicate with a hub up to the cloud and through your phone and all that kind of stuff? Or is there a universal thing like Thread, you know, Matter, that you can take advantage of? And there's no good, I don't know that there is still a good solution to that right now, where unless you're building like a suite of products, it's tough to ask someone to plug a hub in their home. But if they don't plug a hub in their home, that means we have to put a Wi-Fi chip in every tag. And those are really, really expensive. Because even trying to do a Bluetooth connectivity through maybe like Alexa or even through your phone, you just run into functionality issues so fast with that. And so, you know, there were just these things that came up where it was like, well, if we didn't have the hub, we could save a lot of capital from like you know, because then you don't need the tool, you don't need to buy the tooling to make the plastic for the hub part, and you don't need to design a whole other PCB, which is the hub PCB and all this kind of stuff. But then you're like, but if we get rid of the hub, how do these things actually work without getting clunky? And so there's just all these challenges where now like this product is so simple and it does the job. It works for me. I've got them in my fridge right now and I love them. And I know I'm biased. It came out of my brain, but I love them.
They're your baby. But I mean, like the first version, going back to Tile, not to compare you guys, but like the first versions of Tile I loved, and they're actually a lot better now. They're a lot more robust. They've had time to, because once you get that first platform out there, it gives you some legs to build a community, and you could, you know, have a couple years to build that next generation of product. So, you know, I'm interested to see where you guys go. I'm curious, now that you guys have launched your product, is this becoming your full-time gig? Are you like a full-time startup CEO now, or are you still kind of moonlighting?
It kind of goes back and forth, so there's been moments of full-time and moments of moonlighting. Right now, for me, it's more, well, it's moments of, it's both right now. I'll call it moonlighting. Moonlighting sounds like I'm only, working on it in the moonlight, but, but yeah, all of us have other ways to pay the bills because we are not bringing in enough cash right now to pay the bills. So we've all got other ways, to kind of keep the lights on in our own home. And that's been a fight. Oh, that has been a fight and a struggle. I mean, it's the startup grind. You can't, you can't really take money out of the company when you're just putting so much into building what you've got to build. There's so much that goes into that, and the company's just got so many of its own things. Like every startup, I'm probably if there's other startup founders listening, I know it's not just keeping the lights on literally, but it's for us, it's like G Suite and Klaviyo and Shopify, and everybody takes everybody takes their pound of flesh or whatever you want to call it, from a startup company. And these tools are all necessary to build a good company. So yeah, we all kind of have other things going on that allow us to, be successful, whether it's freelancing or jobs or whatever. Yeah.
Yep. This seems like it's in the right stage now for like a Shark Tank or anything like that. Are you guys pursuing those opportunities?
We're thinking about that, right? So Shark Tank could be really fun for us. We had a great opportunity actually at CES. Like Shark Tank wanted us to come on in that 2018 CES, and that would have just been way too early for us. They said they were doing pre-launched products, but our concern was, Shark Tank's a great opportunity to really market your product and get a new audience. And if you don't have something that you can sell them right now, it's a challenge.
Yeah, you can sell something now. You have your store up, and like it's the best commercial you can buy as long as you have something to sell at the time, right?
Yeah. So what I would say to that is I would love to engage the people that we were connected with at Shark Tank. I don't know if they're still there or not, but I would love to re-engage with the Shark Tank folks after this pilot run, because this pilot run. So once we get through this pilot run, we'll have the cash flow. So we'll get a really good understanding of who our customer is for this product, and we'll get an understanding of what our margins are and our acquisition. Like we know what they are on paper, but you really know when you sell them, and you can run those reports. And once we get a better understanding of all that, then we can buy a much larger production run, and that would be a great time to be on Shark Tank. But I know there's time involved with getting on the show and all that too. So, but yeah, that we'd love to do that.
All right, Ty. Well, this has been a lot of fun. If people want to order the Ovie food freshness trackers, how do they find it?
Yeah, we're on the World Wide Web at ovie.life. So ovie.life. If you just do a search for Ovie, it'll probably say, "Did you mean movie?" Interesting thing is, though, if you do a search for smart food storage or smarterware, we come up. We've still got really nice SEO on that. So, but ovie.life is a great place, and you can follow us on all the social medias. Our handle is at Fridge Smarter, because Ovie's too short for them to be a handle most of the time. So we're at Fridge Smarter at all the social medias. And yeah, I mean, frankly, if you want to reach out to any member of the team or myself, feel free to do that. I'm Ty at ovie.life. You can reach out to me directly if you want to chat. I'm happy to chat, connect with anybody. So.
Cool. Hey, Ty, well, congratulations getting that production run out. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you guys go up from here.
Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate the time to chat. This has been really great, and hoping we can see you at SKS soon.
All right. That was a lot of fun. I learned a lot from Ty, and I enjoyed hearing about the journey and all the battles that they went through. So I hope if you are out there building a next generation cooking gadget or food waste management device, I hope some of these lessons were useful. And even if you weren't doing something around kitchen or food, I think these are helpful, particularly if you are building hardware, because I know that there are all these different battles and struggles that you have to face. And I think Ty went through a lot of those. And so hopefully some of those lessons may apply to you and you weren't. All right, that's it for now. We will hopefully have a podcast next week. I got a couple already banked, so we just got to get them out. And so we'll have one out next week. So have a great week, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.